We begin the Gemara today, the last two lines of Daf Daled Amud Beis. Gemara goes back here to what it said in the Braisa. Amar, the Tana said in the Braisa, Benkach or Benkach, whether there was a Einis, whether there wasn't a Einis. That's what the Braisa spoke about. Here again, we're speaking about the date of what day of the week should you get married. So either way, Lo Yiva Lo Be'erev Shabbos, the first time a chassan is boiled the kala should not be on Friday night, V'loi b'matzah Shabbos, and not on Matzah Shabbos either. So the Gemara now will explain why this is. B'shloi me'be'erev Shabbos, it's understood why Friday night to be boiled the first time, so you don't do this Friday night. So this was mentioned before already. Mishum chabura, because the first biyah creates a chabura, creates a wound which is not allowed on Shabbos. And we're going to learn soon over here barichas about this. The Gemara will discuss this later. But now the Gemara goes to what it says, Ela b'matzah Shabbos. Why should the first biyah not be on Matzah Shabbos? Amayloi, what's the reason why not? Basically, making a chasana, Matzah Shabbos. Why aren't you allowed to make a chasana on Matzah Shabbos? Rab Zeir explains, Mishum cheshbainis. It's a gzeira, chachamim decreed that if you allow a person to make a chasana, Matzah Shabbos, so then he's going to be busy on Shabbos itself, making all kinds of calculations of what do I need, how much am I paying the caterer, and all the things, and you're not allowed to make those cheshbainis in Shabbos. As Rashi brings, the Gemara in Shabbos learns out from what it says, V'daber davar, that on Shabbos we don't speak about mundane matters. Amalei Abaye, so Abaye asked Rab Zeira on this reason. How could you say this is the reason? The cheshbainis shel mitzvah, when you make calculations on Shabbos, but it's related to a mitzvah, mi asiri, is this prohibited? We're talking here about cheshbainis for a chasana. A chasana is a mitzvah, so how could this be also? And here the Gemara is going to bring a bunch of different tamiraim that bring you halachas and examples where cheshbainis for a mitzvah are allowed. Rav Chisda and Rav Amnuna damri tarvayit. Rav Chisda and Rav Amnuna both said cheshbainis shel mitzvah mutter l'chashvan b'Shabbos. Cheshbainis related to a mitzvah, you're allowed to calculate on Shabbos. Right? We sell aliyahs on Shabbos. That's the case. It's also halacha brought in Shulchan Aruch. V'amar Rabbi Lazar said, Poiskin tzedakah l'aniyim b'Shabbos. You could pledge tzedakah for poor people on Shabbos as well. V'amar Rav Yaakov, v'amar Rav Yechanan, hoilchen lebatik nesiyas lebatim midrashis. You can go from one shul to another, Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash, l'fakeach al iskei rabbim b'Shabbos, to take care of matters that are relevant to the public on Shabbos, even though it could involve different kinds of cheshbainis, but it's allowed on Shabbos if it's things that are needed for the rabbim. Definitely on Shabbos to take care of matters that are relevant for the life and death of a Yid, for sure you can take care of this on Shabbos. Another thing, you can go to palaces and places where the kings or the government officials are sitting there on Shabbos, even though it's not Shabbos to go visit them there, but you can go there for the purpose to take care of matters that are necessary for everybody, for the public on Shabbos. Yet another point, V'tana debei menashia mishatchen alatinoikis la'aris b'Shabbos. You can talk about shidduchim for girls on Shabbos. Again, even though the source of this whole thing is v'daber davar, that on Shabbos you're not supposed to talk about things that are mundane and the weekday subjects, but on Shabbos to make a good shidduch on Shabbos, that's a great subject to speak about on Shabbos, to make shidduchim. V'alatinek lalamde sefer or lalamde yumnus. And also, you have a son and you have to hire a teacher to teach him Torah, or even to hire somebody to teach him a craft. That's also an obligation that a father has, not only to teach his child Torah, but also to teach him umnus. So you're allowed to talk to somebody and make up with him, and you're hiring him on Shabbos for this purpose. Again, the point is that all of these things are cheshbainis and things that are related to the rabbim or for a mitzvah, and therefore these things are allowed on Shabbos. So the question is, the same should apply for a chasana that you have Matzah Shabbos. So what's the problem? Elam Rab Zeira. So Rab Zeira retracted his reason and gave a different reason. Gzeira shema yishchet benoif. We're afraid that a person is going to be so preoccupied with preparing for the chasana on Shabbos that he may even forget that it's Shabbos, and he might come to shecht a chicken for the suda that he needs on Matzah Shabbos. That's the reason. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye said, if this is the reason, ela meyata. So the same thing should apply also. Yom Kippurim shechaliyah b'sheni b'Shabbos. Yom Kippur that comes out on a Monday. Now we know Yom Kippur can't come out on a Sunday, and even in the times, today we have the calendar set that it's not going to come out on the Sunday. But even those times when they were Makadesh, according to seeing the new moon, they would make sure that it should not come out on a Sunday. You have to add another day to a previous month. But we should also not allow Yom Kippur to come out on a Monday either. That Yom Kippur Shechali is B'Sheni B'Shabbos Yidocha. They should play around, not play around, but they should, in previous months, they should push off Rosh Chodesh a day in order that it shouldn't come out on a Monday either. Why? What's the halach of Erev Yom Kippur? There's a mitzvah min HaTorah to make Kesubos and to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. Now you should be concerned, Shem Yishchid Ben Oif, that you might come to Shecht on Shabbos and to prepare your meals for Sunday. Just like we're afraid over here that on Motzei Shabbos, you'll come and prepare and Shecht on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, how could you compare this? It's not the same thing. Two things. First of all, Hasam de Lenafshei, Yom Kippur, Erev Yom Kippur, you're just preparing a meal for yourself, late tarid. So the person doesn't get so tarid, he doesn't get so preoccupied with this to the point that he might forget that it's Shabbos and Shecht on Shabbos. Hacha de Lacherim, over here you're making a chasana and you invite guests and you have a big meal. So this is something that you might forget. So tarid, you become too occupied with this and we're afraid. Inami, another simple answer is Hasam Islay Ravcha. By Erev Yom Kippur, you have time. You have time to prepare your meal on Motzei Shabbos because the mitzvah to eat in Erev Yom Kippur is by day, the next day. So this from here actually, some of the Pais can bring a raya that the mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur only starts by day, not the night Erev Yom Kippur. But Hacha over here, he's making a chasana on Motzei Shabbos, Leslay Ravcha. He doesn't have enough time to prepare Motzei Shabbos, so he might come to Shecht on Shabbos itself. Now the Gemara says, Hashte the Asas Lahachi. Now that Reb Zera came to this reason that we don't make the chasana on Motzei Shabbos because you're afraid that he might shecht on Shabbos to prepare. Erev Shabbos Nami, so too on Friday night to make a chasana on Friday night. It's the same reason. Nami Gzeira Shem Yishchit Ben Oif. Maybe during the meal of the chasana, he'll realize that he doesn't have enough food for the guests, and he might forget that it's Shabbos and come to shecht something Friday night. So that's the same reason. So the Gemara, now this goes back to the Mishnah. Again, so what did we learn in the Mishnah? What day of the week do you get married? You get married on Wednesday. What was the reason why you get married on Wednesday? So that the bezdin that's available Thursday, so if he has any tinus that the wife was not a psula, he could immediately go to the bezdin. So now the question is, Ibayaluhu psula, nisas b'revi. What did the Mishnah mean? That the besula, the marriage, the chasana is on a Wednesday, v'niv eles b'revi, and also his bayaler, the first relation of the chasana and the kala is also on Wednesday by day. They don't have to wait until at night. Of course, this is in a way where it's allowed in such a oifen. And v'loy chashinon le'krudei daita. And we're not concerned that if he's bayaler Wednesday by day, now he might not have a bezdin available until the next morning. So we're not afraid that by that time, if he finds out that she's not a psula, so he's going to calm down about it, and he's not necessarily going to go to the bezdin. We're not afraid of that. The next morning, if there was something that was wrong, he will go to the bezdin. Or maybe what the Mishnah meant to say is, besula nisis b'revi. When did he get married to her? On a Wednesday. But v'niveles b'chamishi. The point though is that the first time he's boiler is that night, the night going into Thursday. And we make sure that it's dafke by night. Because if it will be Wednesday by daytime until the next morning, he might calm down already. He might not end up going to the bezdin b'chlal. So therefore, the kavan of the Mishnah was that he has to be boil her dafke the night. Tashema. So the Gemara brings a brayse where it says clearly about this. The Tani Bakapara. Bakapara taught psula nisas b'revi. The chasna has to be on a Wednesday. V'niv eles b'chamishi. And then the chasna is boiler the first time, the night, at that night of Thursday of Wednesday night. Hoyel v'nemra. He gives a reason here. What does he say? Why do you have to be boiler Thursday or in the night going into the Yom Chamishi Thursday, which is Wednesday night? Hoyel v'nemra boy bracha l'dogim. Because the Eibusha created the fish on Thursday, and the pasuk says a bracha that the Eibusha gave a bracha for the fish. As Rashi brings the bracha that it says by the fish, pru revu milu samayim, that the fish should multiply and fill the waters. So there's a special bracha on this day that the Eibusha gave for the fish, and therefore the first time a person is boil should be Wednesday night. So the Gemara, this is the continuation of the brayse that is almana nisis b'chamishi. When does an almana get married? On a Thursday. V'niv eles b'shishi. The first time he's boil is Thursday night, which is going into shishi on Friday. Why? Hayel v'nemra b'y bracha adam. Because the human being was created. Adam Rishon was created on Friday, And regarding other Medishim, the Pasuk also says, as Rashi brings, Pru, Ruvu, and Milas Haaretz. So therefore an Almana is Bayil on a Friday. So what does the Gemara now prove from this Braise? The only reason why a person should be Bayil Wednesday night or Thursday night is because he wants to have the special bracha. It's a good, auspicious time to have the bracha that the Eibishter said, either for the fish or for Adam. But what if a person is not makbid, he doesn't want this bracha? He doesn't. This bracha is not something that's important to him. So the concern we had before, that if he's going to be Bayalar on Wednesday, and then by the time it comes Thursday morning, he's already going to calm down, he's not going to go to the Bez, and that's something that we're not concerned about. If we were, the Braisa should have given this reason. Okay, so now the Gemara goes back to the Braisa itself. If there's a point of being boiled dafka on Wednesday night, because there's a bracha for the fish, Almana nami tibal b'chamishi. So an almana, shouldn't an almana, the chasna of an almana should also be on a Wednesday, and then he should be boiler on Wednesday night, which is chamishi. Hayal v'nemra by bracha l'dagim, because there's a bracha for the fish. And as the Mefarshim explained, the Gemara's question, why taka is the bracha of the fish so important? So we know it says a lot of times that the bracha for the fish is that there's no ayin hara for the fish, because the fish are covered underwater. That's why they multiply so fast, because there's no ayin hara. So this bracha of the fish is something which is very powerful. So even for an almana, the chasna should be on Wednesday, and then it should be boiler on Thursday. Answers the Gemara, no, bracha the adam adifalei. The bracha, even though taka there's a certain mila for the bracha of the fish, but nevertheless the bracha that's given directly for Adam, for a human being, that's stronger, and therefore the chasana is on a Thursday, and his boiler a Thursday night, which is shishi. Or the Gemara gives another reason why by an almaneh the chasana is dafka on a Thursday, and his boiler Thursday night the first time, mishum shaktu. Because there's a takana of Chachamim. And again, the Gemara uses this term shaktu. Chachamim were very diligent about this takana. And what's the reason for this takana? There's a takana here for an almana, that she should get married dafka on a Thursday and be boiler Thursday night the first time. The Tanya, because we learned in the Braisa as follows. Why did Chachamim institute that an almana should get married on a Thursday and then be boiler the first time on Thursday night? Because if you're going to say he gets married on a Wednesday and then he's boiler the first time Wednesday night, so then what happens? L'machar, the next day, which is on Friday, mashkim. No. L'machar here means Friday. So then on Friday, in other words, the day right after the chasana, he's not going to go to work. Here, the point here that the Gemara is going to say right now is, when it comes to regular chasana and kala, so there's sheva brachas, and during the sheva brachas, you're not supposed to go to work b'chlal. So he's going to remain with his kala for the entire sheva brachas. By an almana, there is no sheva brachas. There's only one day that he stays with his kala. But after that day, he can go to work. So what's going to happen? The chasna will be on Wednesday, and then he's boiler Wednesday night, Thursday, and then Thursday he remains with her. But l'machar, it comes Friday, mashkim lum nasai v'haylachlai. So then he gets up early and he goes to work, and his kala is alone. So therefore, shaktu chachamim al takanas b'nai Yisrael. Chachamim were diligent, and they instituted for b'nai Yisrael, even an almana, shehei semech im shleishi yamim, that the husband, the chasna, should remain with her for 3 days, and therefore the chasna is going to be chamishi. Chasna is going to be on a Thursday, Chamishi b'Shabbos, and then he's boiler that night, and the Erev Shabbos, so the next day, Erev Shabbos, the day after the Chasna, he doesn't leave her, and then V'Shabbos, and then Shabbos as well, he's not going to work, he stays with her. So now, because of this, he's going to be with her for 3 days. That was the reason why they instituted that the Chasna of an Almana should be on a Thursday. So we have two different reasons here.
Either way, you don't need this the takana if they're getting married on Thursday, because anyways he's not going to work the next day. You said
who was misaken this though? They were misaken. Chachamim were misaken that an almana should get married on a Thursday. Again?
You said 1 day for sure.
Correct.
So we get married Thursday night.
Get married Thursday, and then
so
Friday.
Friday not going to work anyway.
Correct.
So you have Friday, Shabbos, and Sunday.
Exactly. That's what the Gemara is saying here. You know? And not Wednesday. Again, the point is they should not get married on a Wednesday. If they get married on a Wednesday, he'll be with her on Thursday, and then Friday he'll go to work already. So that's why they were misaken dafka Thursday. So we have there two reasons why an almana gets married on Thursday. Either the reason is because then he's boiler on Friday night, and there's a special bracha on Friday, the bracha of Pru Revu that was said to Adam. Or the reason is, as we just explained, shaktu, this takana of the chachamim, that they want the chassan to stay with the kala, which is an almana, for 3 days. So the Gemara says, Ma yike ben bracha l'shaktu. what would be a practical difference between these two reasons, either the reason of a bracha that there is on Friday, or the reason of shoktu that Chachamim were mesaken that he should remain with his wife for 3 days. Ikke beinayu. So there's two simple differences. First, Adam Bottle, a person that's unemployed, so he's not going out to work. So you don't have to be concerned about the fact that he's going to leave his wife after 1 day. So if that was the reason, so then he can get married on a Wednesday. You don't have to be concerned that on Friday he's going to leave her. He's not going to work. Yinami Yom Tiv Shechali is Berev Shabbos. What happens if Friday is Yom Tiv? So then again, you don't have to be concerned that on Friday he's going to work. Friday is a Yom Tiv. So in such a case, he could also get married on a Wednesday. But if the reason is the bracha, the bracha of Pru Revu that was said to Adam, so then even in these situations, the chassan of an almana is still on a Thursday. Darash Bar Kapara. The Gemara before brought from Bar Kapara, so the Gemara here brings other drashas, agadete, from Bar Kapara. The actions of tzaddikim are greater. It's even greater than the actions of the Eibishter when he created heaven and earth. When the Eibishter creates heaven and earth, what does the pasuk say? Af yadi yosta aretz. My hand has brought the foundation for this earth here below, and the yemini. So the hand refers to the left hand, and then the yemini, my right hand, tipcha shamayim, has created heavens. So this is brought actually in my modem that the Shemayim and Aretz refers to the Eilamis, Eilam Atzilus and Eilam Abri and Basi Lagani. This is brought over there in the beginning of Basi Lagani where it speaks about Atzilus, Bri, Tzir and Asir, that the higher Eilamis are created with Yad Yamin, which is closer, so to speak, to the Eibusher, with a stronger Koyach, and the lower worlds are created with the Eibusher's left hand because there's more of a distance. When it comes to the actions that tzaddikim do, so what do the actions of tzaddikim in the world cause? Saksiv, the pasuk says, so here it uses the word yodecha, which means Hashem's both hands. Hashem builds the Beis HaMikdash with both of his hands. It doesn't say kainenu yodcha, which is a singular term, but it says yodecha. And the Eibishter builds the Beis HaMikdash through the chusim and the mitzvahs and the ma'asim of the tzaddikim. So this is the great maila of the kayach of the avodah of the tzaddikim in the world. Heishiv Bavli Echad, there was an individual from Bavel that asked on what Bar Kapara just said, V'Rabchia Shemai, and his name is Rabchia, V'Yabeshes Yadav Yitzaru. Until him it says V'Yabeshes, the dry land, the Eibusher creates it with Yadav. He uses a plural term as well regarding creating the earth here below. And so he answered him Yadoi Ksiv, even though it's read Yadav, but it's written Yud Daled Vav, which is a singular term Yadoi, just with one hand. Fragt the Gemara, but Vaksiv Yatzaru. But how could you say that though? It says Yatzaru, which is a plural term that it was Yatzaru, that the hands create. So Yatzaru means the plural, both hands create Yabeshes, the dry land. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says Yatzaru, the reason why it uses a plural term regarding the creation through one hand, Etzba Isav. It means all the fingers of the hand. That's the plural term. K'dichsiv ki eresh shamecha ma'ise etzba Isecha. That the heavens are created with the Eibusher's fingers, kaviyachol. Yareach v'chichav mashe kananta. The moon and the stars that the Eibusher prepared. So the plural term is not two hands, but it's one hand with all the fingers. Meis the Gemara asks a question from another pasuk. It says, "Until Hashemayim esaprim kvoid kel." Heavens say, and they say the story of the glory of the Eibusher. Ma'aseh yadav, and here it says again a plural term, maged rakia. That the world, the rakia, says the ma'aseh yadav of the Eibusher. Yadav is a plural term as well. And says the Gemara, Hachikamar, what that pasuk really saying is, Maisi Yedeyim Shal Tzadikim. It's the Eibishter's plural using the term Yadav regarding the Eibishter is all the result of also the actions of the Tzadikim in this world. Mi Magid Harakia. The Rakia, the heavens, they say the story of the Aveda of the Tzadikim in this world. And how is that? The Mai Niu Mata. And that's when it rains. When it rains, it's a result of the fact that tzaddikim in this world daven to the Eibishter and ask for rain. And that's the story that the Rakia is saying when it says Maisi Yadav. So it also refers to the actions of the tzaddikim in this world. Darash Bar Kapara Darshan, Maidichsiv, what is the meaning of the pasuk that it says? V'yaseh til l'chol azinecha. So the simple pshat of the pasuk, it's speaking about the Yidden when they go out to war, so they should have an extra yaseh, the extra peg they should take with themselves. And the purpose is to be able to dig with it if a person has to go out and to relieve himself. So hidarshan al tikre al azeinecha, which is together with the weapons that you take out with you, ela al oiznecha. You should have something for your ears, which means as follows: Shim yishma adam davar she'eino hagen. If you hear someone saying something to you which is inappropriate, So what do? You niach etzbai baznov, so you have your fingers, and your fingers are like pegs, and you should place your fingers into your ears not to hear what the person tells you. V'hainu the Amar Rabbi Elazar. This is what Rabbi Elazar said regarding a person's fingers. So he asked the question: why isn't a person's fingers? Why are a person's fingers similar to pegs? So the Gemara wants to understand what's the question exactly for Rabbi Elazar. My time. What is he asking? What's the question that he's asking here? Is he asking why are a person's fingers separated from one another? Why didn't the Eibishter create that a person's fingers should be like a one big like a
web.
Like the palm of the hand itself? It should be all attached together. Why are the fingers separated from one another? Is that his question? So that's not a question. Why? Because each finger serves a different purpose. So we once learned about this. What is the purpose of each finger? So starting with the small finger. Zu zeres. To measure the amount of a zeres. This is by the Choshen it says that the size of a Choshen is the size of a zeres. How do you measure a zeres? A zeres is when you measure from the small finger to the thumb. That distance from the small finger to the thumb, that's the measure of a zeres. So that's why we have the small finger. And then the next finger near it, zu kmitze. That's when you make the kmitze, the kain in the Beis HaMikdash, when he has to take from the carbon mincha, and then the amount that stays inside his hand, when he closes his finger, it starts, what's the amount that remains inside the hand? From the second finger. That's the kmitze finger. And then the middle finger, the large finger, the biggest finger, zu amma. From there you measure an amma. How do you measure an amma? You measure the amma from the large finger to all the way up to the elbow, and that's the measure. That's the shiur of an amma. So that's why we have the large finger, and then zu etzba, the next finger, which is near the thumb. That's the etzba, which is used for, Rashi here says, when the Kohen sprinkles the blood on the Beis HaMikdash, on the Mizbeach, and sometimes you have to sprinkle it with your finger. Which finger does he have to use? The etzba, the finger that's near the thumb. So that's the purpose of this finger. And then zu gaidel. The gaidel is also used separately in the Beis HaMikdash, as Rashi here says, that sometimes by a mitzayra you have to put the oil or the blood, and it goes on the gaidel, on the large finger. So each finger is separated and has its own purpose. So what was the question of Rabbi Elazar regarding the fingers? Ella, his question was, Ma tam meshufes ki yiseidos. Why is it that the fingers, their endings are sort of sharper, that they don't end thick, they end a little bit sharper than where it is lower down, in order that, for why? Why does it end sharper in this way? Why doesn't it end with a more of a thicker and more rounded off? The answer is she'im yishma adam davar she'eino hagen, because if a person hears something that's inappropriate, so the fingers are small enough that yaniach etz ba'osav ba'aznav, that he could fit it, he could place his fingers in his ear, and not to hear what people are telling him.
That's very cool.
Tana bei Rabbi Shmuel said, Mipnei ma oizen kula kosher. Why is the entire ear of a person, it's hard, but v'ha'alya, the earlobe raka, is soft. Again, so he said a similar thing. Shim yishma adam davar she'eino hagen. If a person hears something inappropriate, what does he do? Yachaf aliyah l'teichas. You have that earlobe that you could bend inside the ear and block and not hear what people are telling you. The kitzur, a person doesn't have to listen what people tell him. He has two options: either put your fingers in your ear or the earlobe in your ear. Tana Rabbanan. The last point here for this Agadah, the Gemara says that, and again regarding what a person listens to, al yashmiya adam la'aznav dvarim betelim. Don't listen to people that are speaking narishkeit and idle chatter, things that are not important. Why? Mipnei shehein nichvais tchila le'evarim. The ears of a person get burnt first before any of the other limbs of a person's body. What the Gemara actually means by this is even physically. The ears of a person, the skin or whatever, it's softer, and if it gets in contact with hot water, it gets burnt quicker than the skin on any other part of the body. So just like that is true physically about the ear, so is also true regarding the sense of hearing that there is in the ear, that the things that you hear affect the person before many other things. A lot of things that we're exposed to, so it's the hearing that you hear before other things. You get exposed to things, and that burns a person before anything else. So you should be very careful with what you hear. Okay, now Gemara goes back to the halacha that was mentioned before, that you should not be boil on Erev Shabbos. The first time the relation between the chassan and kala should not be on Friday night. So now the Gemara will address this. Yibayalahu. This was asked as a question. Mahu livoil betchila b'Shabbos. Is the person allowed, the first bia, the first relation, is this allowed to be on Friday night? So Rashi explains, either the one that's asking this question didn't hear of the Braisa that we learned before, that said it's not allowed, or he knew of the Braisa, but he wanted to know, do we paskin like that Braisa or not? And here, in this next part of the Gemara, we're going to see that this question is a very complex question. There's a lot of different details of Hilchos Shabbos that come into play to answer this question, whether a person is allowed to be boiled tchila Friday night or not. And there's a lot of fundamentals of Hilchos Shabbos that come in here. Let's see. So the first question is as follows. What happens when a person is boiled for the first time? So there's a psulim. There's a in English, what's it called? I think a hymen that the person has to break through, and then what happens is there's blood that comes out. So the question is a person on Shabbos allowed to create this chabura? This is what was mentioned before. A person creates a wound, are you allowed to make this chabura on Shabbos? Now what's the problem of making a chabura on Shabbos? So there's a machlekes Rishonim, there's actually a big arichas and taisus about this. But the Rashi in one place says that the issue of causing blood to come out would be tseveya, like when a person is painting. But Taisus over here says that Taisus here, and most Rishonim, and Rashi himself also in Shabbos brings another pshat, and this is what most Rishonim say, the issue of a chabura it's an offshoot of the malacha of sheichet. Just like when a person shechts, netilas neshama. So when a person takes away the neshama, the life, so too when a person makes a chabura, what happens is there's a certain life of the person, that the blood collects. In that chabura, the blood comes out. Or even when you make a chabura and the blood doesn't yet come out, but it collects in a certain area, and then it loses its life. So too, there's a certain loss of life that happens by every chabura. So the question over here is the same thing. When a person is boil on Shabbos, what exactly happens when he's boil? So one oifen is that we could look at it. What happens is as follows: the dam mifkat pocket, the blood that's there. So the blood is like there; it's kept in that area. It's like a deposit. The literal translation of mifkat pocket is the dam besulim. Correct. That blood that comes out is not absorbed in the womb of the woman. It's there. It's present there. And then when a person breaks through the besulim, the blood comes out. So, but he's not taking out the blood from the actual walls of the womb of the woman itself. So if it's mifkat pocket, then he's just creating an opening for the blood to come out, so then there's no isser of chabura. Again, the chabura is the blood that's inside the body of the woman that through the chabura it comes out. You're drawing it out from the body of the woman. But here, the blood is like there. It's like you have blood in a sack, and then you just open up the sack and it comes out. So then there's no issue. Or rather, the blood that's there, so you are creating a wound. The blood is in the walls of the womb of the woman, and now when you create the opening by the first bia, so then you're creating a wound and you're drawing out that blood that was inside the walls of the womb of the woman. So therefore there is a chabura, and it's asar on Shabbos. That's the first point of this question. Gemara goes further, and even if you're going to resolve this and tell me, mifket pocket, that the blood is not absorbed in the walls of the womb of the woman, rather it's just there like a pekadon, it's like there like blood in a sack, and you're just opening it up. Ledam hu tzarich. When a person is boil for the first time, does he need, is part of his intention that he wants to see that blood that comes out? Why? Because the person wants to be sure. He wants to know that the wife that he's marrying is a basula. So he wants to see that blood that's coming out. Vishari, and therefore, if that's his intention, so therefore being boil would be allowed. There's no isser in causing this blood to come out, because again, it's not a chabura. Or perhaps there could be another malacha that's involved over here, and that is lepesach utzarech. The first time a person is boil and he creates that opening, that's his intention. His main intention actually is to create this pesach. This is his wife, and he wants to be boiler, so therefore he wants to create this opening, and therefore va'aser. This would be another malacha. What's the malacha of creating a pesach? The malacha of creating a pesach is, as Rashi brings here, baina, binyan. And just like when you create a Pesach and a binyan, it's a malacha, so as we'll see later in the Gemara, and you have this a few times, even creating a binyan in the body of a human being is also a malacha of baina. So if he wants to create a Pesach, so that's also another malacha. The Gemara goes further, if you'll argue and say that when the person is boil the first time, the main kavanah that he has is the blood that should come out, to be sure that his wife is a basula. Upesach memela kasi. The opening that happens, that's not his intention b'chlal. The opening that happens just happens without his kavanah. So now the question though is halacha kerab Shimon. So here the Gemara brings up a famous machlokes that you have in Shas many times regarding a person that does a malacha on Shabbos and he's einim miskaven. He doesn't have intention to do this malacha. What's the classic example for this? That the Gemara itself says, person that's dragging a bench on the ground, and as he's dragging the bench, it creates a furrow, it creates a ditch in the ground. So then that could be chayrish. He's plowing the ground, but that wasn't his intention b'chlal. So here Rab Shimon holds the halacha is like follows. Rab Shimon's opinion is, one moment, Rab Shimon holds halacha Rab Shimon. Do we paskin like Rab Shimon? What's Rab Shimon's opinion? The Amar Rab Shimon says, Dov Shem Miskaven mutter. If there's a malacha that happens, but that's not your intention at all, so then it's mutter. So over here, his kavanah is that the blood should come out, to know that his wife is a psula. The fact that it creates a pesach, which is baineh, that's not his intention, so it's mutter. Oy, halacha Rab Yehuda. Or maybe we paskin like Rab Yehuda. Rab Yehuda says, Dov Shem Miskaven aser, that even when a person is doing a malacha, again, when a person is doing a malacha and he has no kavanah, so even though he has no kavanah aser, it's still going to be aser. So what's this? Now there is an issue here that you just mentioned, and Rashi and Tosfos both point this out. L'chayra, there's a halacha called psik reisha, which means anytime, even though you do something without kavanah, but if it's inevitable that the malacha is going to happen. For example, in the case with the bench, if the bench is so heavy that it's inevitable, it's for sure going to create this ditch in the ground, that even Rabbi Yehuda, or Rab Shimon rather, would agree that it's aser. So both Rashi and Tosfos explain that it is possible that blood should not come out. And based on the Gemara later, we'll see the Gemara says it is possible that you should be boiled in such a way that blood should not come out, and without even a Pesach either, and therefore it's not psik reisha. Okay, so therefore this is the question there. Weiter, where we're holding over here. Oh, the Gemara goes weiter. Yeah, now if you're going to argue and say halacha Rab Yehuda, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda says that even though he has no kavanah to create this Pesach, so therefore it still should be aser. But there's another question. Mekalkel who eitzel Pesach, should I say that when he creates this Pesach, so it's a kilkel, but he's doing something which is destructive. So this is another klal in Hilchos Shabbos. You're not chayav for any malacha on Shabbos, unless it's a tikkun. You're doing something which has a constructive nature. If you do something which is a kilkul, you're ruining, you're destroying, you're not chayav in Shabbos. It's not a meleches machsheves. You're not creating something constructive. So over here, he's a mekalkel. Why is he a mekalkel? So Rashi explains the reason why this would be considered to be a mekalkel is because before, this woman was a basula. A basula is has a much greater value, and now she's only a baula. You boil her, so now her value goes down. She's not the same anymore. So therefore, you're a mekalkel. Oy dilme, oy perhaps misakenu eitzela pesach. He's creating an opening. It's true she becomes a bula, but now it's his wife. And he wants this Pesach, so he can always have a relation with her. So this is a tikkun. He's creating something constructive. So therefore this would be a malacha. So that's the line of questioning over here. Okay? So the Gemara went through many different stadim to this question. Now the Gemara brings another version to this line of questioning, also going through many different stadim, but a bit different than the previous version. Ikadamri, others said that the question is as follows. Vim tim tzaleim, again, the question begins regarding the facts of the blood. What's the story with this blood? Is the blood there, and it's like a pekadon, it's there and it's not absorbed in the walls of the womb, or is the blood absorbed? And therefore you create a chabura when you boil the first time. So in this version, we start going with the approach, Vim tim tzaleim dam chibure michba, that the dam is actually absorbed, and therefore when you boil the first time, you are creating a wound. There is a chabura. But now the question is, Ledam hu tzarich v'aser. He needs the blood, and because he needs the blood, so therefore this is going to be aser. Aydilme la'anas atzmaihu tzarich v'shari. Or when the person is being boiled, he's not interested in the blood that comes out. He's just doing it for his own sake. He's being boiled. The fact that the blood comes out, that's not something that he's mechaven to at all. So therefore it's allowed. Again, going back to the svara that I mentioned before, Rashi says the svara, do you say that he wants the blood to come out because he wants to be sure that his wife is a basula? That's what means l'dam utzarich. He wants to see the blood to know that she's a basula. Or no, he's being boiler for his own sake, and therefore the fact that the blood comes out just happens, and that's not b'chlal what his kavanah is. So the question continues, Vimtim tzoloim al anos atzmo yitzarech, that what he's doing is just for his own anah, and v'dam memele ka'asi, and the blood that he draws out when he creates this chabura, that's not his intention at all. So even though there's a chabura, but he's not mechaven for this. But should I say halacha k'Rabbi Yehuda or halacha k'Rabbi Shimon? Is the halacha like Rabbi Yehuda that even though he has no kavanah, still it's going to be aser? Or is the halacha like Rabbi Shimon that even without kavanah, that if it is without kavanah, then it's going to be mutter? Now, according to this version here, the question continues, Vimtim tzolai halacha k'Rabbi Yehuda, even if the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, so when you have no kavanah, it should be aser, mekalkel b'chabura, or mesakim b'chaburahu. Okay, this is actually was mentioned before as well. Is this a tikkun? When he creates this chabura, again, is this a kilkul rather? Because he lowers her status from being a besula and now she's only a beula, or it's a tikkun. He's creating a Pesach, and this is what he wants to do. Now, here in this version, the Gemara adds another svara, ve'im tim tzoloima mekalkel b'chaburahu. Even if you're going to say that the kilkul, usually a kilkul by all malachas of Shabbos is allowed. It's right, but over here, though, there's an exception. When it comes to a chabura, this is based on the Gemara in Shabbos. The Gemara in Shabbos says that when you make a chabura, there's a machlekes actually between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon as well, whether a kilkul b'chabura would be aser. And what the Gemara there says, because we find by a bris milah, you need a special pasuk to say that a bris is allowed in Shabbos. What's a bris? A bris is also creating a wound and drawing out blood. From the fact that you need a special pasuk to teach me that a bris is allowed in Shabbos, so I see that otherwise a kilkul, a chabura, any other wound, even though every wound you cause is just a kilkul, you're doing something which is destructive. But nevertheless, a mekalkul would be asa. That's one opinion. It's a machlekes about this. So here the Gemara says as follows. If you're going to say over here, when he creates this chabura, the blood comes out, so there's a kilkul, but this is a kilkul regarding a chabura. And b'mekalkel halacha k'Rabbi Yehuda, do I paskin like the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda? And Rabbi Yehuda holds that when you create a kilkul regarding a chabura, just like all other malachas of Shabbos, a kilkul, a destructive thing, is allowed, so too by a chabura, it's no different. A chabura is the same thing. A kilkul by a chabura is also mutter. So that's one oifen. Or perhaps halacha k'Rab Shimon. Or the halacha is going to be like Rab Shimon. What's Rab Shimon's opinion? As Rashi here brings, that a mekalkul b'chabura is chayev. Even though a mekalkul by all other malachas of Shabbos is potter, but mekalkul b'chabura on Shabbos, mekalkul b'chabura that is, will be chayev. So maybe over here, even though this is a kilkul b'chabura, you should still be chayiv. And Rashi says what the Gemara is really asking is, should you say that on one hand, regarding the halacha, there's two different machlekes in here between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. One machlekes is regarding Eina Mechavin, and Rabbi Yehuda holds, over there Rabbi Yehuda is the one that's stringent and says that Eina Mechavin is going to be chayiv. And then there's the machlekes regarding mekalkol by a chabura. Also machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, but here it's the reverse. Over here it's Rabbi Yehuda the one that's mekel, and Rabbi Yehuda says you'll be potter, and Rabbi Shimon is the one that's chayav. So when the Gemara here says, Oy halacha k'Rab Shimon, the Gemara is asking, should you say that he's doing a kilkul b'chabura, and you're going to be chayiv, because Rabbi Shimon says that a kilkul by a chabura is still chayiv, but on the other hand, even though it's einim mechaven, he doesn't want to make this chabura, but yet we're going to paskin like Rabbi Shimon, we're going to paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, that is, that Einim Mechaven is still going to be Aser. That's the question. Okay, so we have a lot of different details over here to this question, and in the Hemshech the Gemara will resolve this.
Okay.